Attorney Dodas? Hi, who do you have? Do you have Miss Blanca?
Good morning, Milton. I believe McLean has both of those clients. He's not yet in the room.
Okay, Miss Arsenio wanted to speak with him.
Okay, I'll let him know as soon as he's in the room. And we know to address your cases first.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Judge Law.
He's not looking that way. Nope.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Jessie Law, and we're going to begin with our state all-purpose calendar. This is with the Fulton County State Court on May 25th, 2023 at 9 a.m. This is going to be a list of misdemeanor criminal cases in which individuals have already been accused, bonds have been set, they've got appointed counsel, and today we're going to do what essentially is a plea and arraignment. Some of the defendants may choose to accept the prosecutor's recommendation and enter a plea of guilty or no contest to some, if not all, the charges in their case. Others may decide to enter a not guilty plea, and the case will then be further noticed for trial. Other matters that we may address may possibly include bond modifications. If you are a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. So please remember your right to remain silent. If you choose to waive it, you could be subject to damaging your case and making it more difficult for your attorney to represent you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one would be appointed to represent you. That would be either counsel from the Public Defender's Office or from the Conflict Defense List. Good morning, Mr. Dodas, Mr. McLean, and prosecutors as well. Who are we addressing first? South Annex, who do we have?
Before you is position number 10.
Okay. This is Bianca Osornio, accused of simple battery at a public transit vehicle or station back on May 5th of 2023. I believe that's the only charge against her.
That's correct.
Ms. McLean, this is case number 23 CR 0028248. And with regards to this position, I understand that she wants to enter a not guilty plea. Would that be correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. With regard to the second part, the signature bond, prior to addressing the signature bond, I would like to have a breakout room between the family, or the client, me, and our social worker. So our social worker is not here yet. Is that correct? So as soon as I find out when our social worker is going to be in the courtroom with me, I could have the family on Zoom do the breakout room between us with regard to whether they can contribute to the signature bond request.
Okay. Shall I arraign her first right now and then do the bond modification with everybody else present?
That would be fine, Your Honor. That would not
All right.
be, that would be brief enough where it wouldn't be a waste of time.
And do you waive a reading of the accusation?
We do.
All right. Ms. Osornio, you have been accused of a misdemeanor criminal offense of simple battery at a public transit vehicle or station, allegedly on May 5th, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. This is a misdemeanor offense brought against you, and you are legally presumed innocent of this charge. Upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecutor would have the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the prosecution does prevail, you could be convicted and face a penalty of up to $1,000 fine and/or up to a year in prison. Given this information, how do you plead at the present time?
Not guilty.
All right. I accept your not guilty plea. We will revisit your case as soon as the individuals who Mr. McLean requires to have in a breakout room. Deputy Milton, unfortunately, Ms. Osornio will have to remain until the social worker and the families are available.
Okay, the next one, have a seat with me, please. Come on. Position 18 and 19, Ms. Sullivan.
18 and 19, okay? This is Miss Patricia Sullivan. She's got two cases pending onto this morning's calendar. The first one is position 1823 CR 002937E, in which she has been accused of theft of services from March 17, 2023. The second case, same individual, is accused of theft by shoplifting from March 23, 2023, in case number 23 CR 002938E. Ms. Sullivan, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. Would that be correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. 18 and 19 are the simplest styles of negotiated pleas. They are simply time served and stay away. One is the theft of services on a meal at a restaurant, and one is a shoplifting of some items at a store.
Ms. Reddick, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Could you please let me know what's the recommendation for these cases?
On position 18, Your Honor, the recommendation is, as defense counsel stated, time served 13 days. The balance will be suspended. Ms. Sullivan needs to stay away from C&S Seafood at 6126 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Okay, and the second case?
On position 19, again, it is time served 13 days, balance suspended. Ms. Sullivan is required to stay away from all targets in Fulton County.
All right. And Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for both cases?
We do so stipulate in both cases, Your Honor. I've discussed this fully with my client at the jail yesterday, and she asked the court to accept her negotiated plea.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sullivan, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am, I have not.
All right, and I do apologize, I forgot to place you under oath. Could you please raise your right hand?
Yes,
You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, and have you understood everything so far?
Yes, I have, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the services of the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, Your Honor.
And has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty to these two charges, that you give up your right to go back to court, to have a trial, to have the assistance of counsel so that you can confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the prosecutor carry its complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of theft of service?
Guilty.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be concurrent. In other words, it's going to apply to both cases. It's basically 12 months to serve 13 days, credit for time served 13 days. The remainder of the jail time is going to be suspended. And you are to stay away from the seafood restaurant at 6126 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. You're not to be seen anywhere near the restaurant, its parking lot, its sidewalk, and so forth. You're also to stay away from all Target stores in Fulton County, Georgia. Target stores tend to send your picture to every single one. So if you enter a Target store, say in Gwinnett County or in Henry County, they could ask you to leave and you would have to obey. Do you understand?
I do, ma'am.
All right. Good luck, Ms. Sullivan. And this concludes your two cases.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm gonna take Ms. Sullivan back and I'll be back with Ms. Arsenio.
Okay, thank you. We are in courtroom 2 then at the present time. Who do we have, please?
Hold on, we're gonna start off with the add-on calendar. Sorry, good morning. Judge.
Good morning, sir.
We're gonna start off with the add-on calendar. It's gonna be position 1, 2, and 3, Mr. Binion.
This is State versus Arthur James Binion. Mr. Binion has 3 separate cases on our calendar. The first one is 22 CR 004588F, disorderly conduct from September 1st, 2021. The second one is 23 CR 003218F, charged with criminal trespass, May 20th, 2023. And the third one is a failure to appear bench warrant case, and that was 23 FTA 000402 from April 17, 2023. Mr. Binion, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dodis. And Mr. Dodis, how are we addressing this case this morning, these three cases?
Good morning, Your Honor. Positions 1 and 2 should be negotiated pleas, which should no pros, position 3 on the add-on calendar.
All right. Okay, Mr. Binion, if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what is the plea recommendation for positions 1 and 2 on the add-on?
Give me just a moment, Your Honor. Okay. Yes, Your Honor. The plea recommendation in this case from the state is 12 months, served 10 days, credit for time served 5 days, with the balance suspended. That's in position 1 and 2 on the add-on, and I will be submitting a no pros order for position 3.
Is there a stay away for position 2?
It's the same location, Marta. I think it all have it on Marta. This is stay away from Marta.
Is it appropriate if I do in accordance with any suspension?
That works for the state.
Okay. Mr. Dodis, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for all 2 cases?
Yes, Your Honor. For the purpose of both of these plea, he does stipulate to the 3 necessary elements.
All right. Mr. Binion, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take a plea in these cases today?
No, Your Honor.
Has it been explained to you that if you decide to enter a guilty plea to these charges, that you would give up your constitutional right to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury, have the assistance of counsel to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, to be able to bring any defenses that if you choose to have any, as well as have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Have they gone over these rights with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you choose to waive them freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of disorderly conduct?
Guilty, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Your sentence for both charges are going to be concurrent, and it is 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served 5 days. Balance will be suspended. You are to stay away from all MARTA property, trains and buses, in accordance with any active suspension that is against you. The way you can check that is you would need to contact the MARTA headquarters at Lindbergh Drive and confirm that there are no suspensions against you. You're under your name or your ID and so forth before you board a train or a bus. All right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. And position number 3 on the add-on, Mr. Young, please send the null pros order to, I believe it's Miss Gray, and no, it's Miss Strong today, Miss Casey Strong. Do you have an email?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm about to send that over momentarily.
All right, thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
It's gonna be position number 4, Mr. Sean Minor on the add-on calendar.
Okay,
And Your Honor, Mr. Minor is also position 9 on the SAP calendar.
have you received the information you need for position 4?
Yes, Your Honor. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Apologies for not making that announcement. These will both be negotiated, please.
All right. This is State versus Sean Minor. Mr. Minor is present and has been advised of his right to remain silent. Mr. Minor, your attorney is Mr. Angelo Dodis, and we're going to be addressing 2 of your cases this morning. The first one is position 9 on the SAP calendar, and that's 23 CR 002-886C, in which you were accused of criminal trespass from March 10th, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. The second case is on our add-on calendar, and that's 23 CR 001095J, in which you are accused of criminal trespass and loitering and prowling from February 26, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. May I place you under oath in order to address these, please?
Yes.
Mr. Minor, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah.
Thank you. May I put your hand down? Mr. Young, what is the plea recommendation for these cases?
Yes, Your Honor. In position 9, the state's recommendation is 12 months, serve 60 days. Credit for some time served, which is 16 days, the balance suspended once it completes. Stay away from the incident location being 1726 Fairborn Road in Atlanta, and no further contact with the victim, Bianca First, if I'm pronouncing that right. And for the add-on, it's 12 months served, 4 days, credit for time served, 2 days with the balance suspended. The incidents occurred at the same location with the same victim.
1726 Fairburn Road?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. And that's in Atlanta?
That's correct.
Mr. Dodis, is your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID in both cases?
Yes, Your Honor, we do so stipulate for the purpose of these pleas.
All right. Mr. Minor, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood what's been going on so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take a plea today in order to get out of jail quickly?
It would be nice to get out of jail today.
It'll be nice, but I want to make you understand that I'll only accept your plea if you're doing it so willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily, and that you will comply with the conditions of your sentence.
Okay.
Because if you don't, you'll be back. So I'm going to ask you again, are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly? Or is someone forcing you, inducing you? Or are you doing it in order to get out of jail quick?
The first one, ma'am. I understand the plea.
All right. And has it been explained to you that if you enter this plea, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to challenge these charges in a court of law, to confront your accuser, to be able to examine witnesses? And you also give up the right to have the state do its work to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
Right? Mr. Minor, both cases involve an incident at the same location with the same individual, Bianca First. And if you don't comply with the conditions, you're going to be back in jail.
Okay.
That's why I am only willing to accept this plea if this is a non-reporting probation.
Okay.
The Dodis?
Yes, Your Honor,
Individuals.
if I could have a moment on mute just to make sure that Mr. Minor understands.
Yeah, this is non-reporting.
Yes, Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Minor. He understands that he will be on non-reporting probation.
So, Mr. Minor, yes, sir, go ahead.
Ma'am, thank you. And that is it, Ms. Jessie. And thank you, sir.
All right. So just as your attorney has explained to you, non-reporting probation means you don't have to report to probation except for the first time, where they set you up your probation case. And then after that, you don't have to report. But if you violate the conditions, in other words, you attempt to contact Bianca First, or you're within 200 yards of her, or if you're seen anywhere near 1726 Fairburn Road, and she reports it, your probation could be revoked and you could end up being in prison. to serve out the rest of the 12 months. Has that been explained to you?
Yes, Ms. Jessie.
All right.
Thanks.
Is probation on with us this morning?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. Yes, Ms. Thomas. I'll need him to report the first time next Thursday before 3 p.m. Then after that, he'll be on a non-reporting status for both cases.
And
Okay.
Your Honor,
Yes,
My apologies. The offer that Mr. Minor is accepting, he will be in custody for the next 14 days.
oh, that's right. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, I'll make sure that he's clear on the date that he needs to report.
He needs to, yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas, he'll be reporting as soon as it's released.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Could you give me that position number again? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's position number 9 on the SAP calendar, 23 CR 002-886C.
Okay,
And then the second one is on the add-on calendar, 23 CR 001-095J.
okay. All right,
All right.
thank you.
So to continue, Mr. Minor, as I've explained to you, you have indicated that you are freely, willingly, and knowingly giving up your constitutional rights to a trial. How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass on March 10th, 2023?
I believe guilty.
Mr. Minor, how do you plead to the 2 counts of 1 count of criminal trespass and 1 count of loitering and prowling on February 26, 2023?
Innocent. Which is guilty, right?
Repeat.
Guilty, I'm sorry, guilty, right?
Right. Guilty is the opposite of innocent.
Right.
So which plea are you entering today?
Innocent.
So you are innocent of criminal trespass and loitering and prowling?
As in, I want to take the plea.
Your Honor,
right?
I think I might need a second to speak with my.
You
client.
do, you
Yeah.
do. Please mute.
Excuse me, Your Honor, we're back whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
me
I'll
know.
be with you as soon as I finish with Mr. Minor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Dotis?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think we're ready to proceed with the pleas.
All right.
There's just a lot going on. He was confused, but I think we straightened it out.
Thank you. Mr. Minor, how do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass and 1 count of loitering and prowling?
Guilty.
All right. For the second case in which he is charged with criminal trespass and loitering and prowling, the sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 4 days, credit for time served 2 days, balance suspended, no further contact with Bianca First, and to stay away from 1726 Fairburn Road. He's to stay 200 yards away from both the location and from Miss First and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. With regards to position number 9 on the SAP calendar, to 1 count of criminal trespass, he has pled guilty. The sentence is 12 months to serve 60 days, credit for time served 16 days. Mr. Minor will have an additional 14 more days to serve at the Fulton County Jail before he may be released. Upon his release, he will report to probation in the immediate first available Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So if you're released on a Monday, Mr. Minor, you're to report to probation either the immediate Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Do you understand?
Yes.
So within 7 days of being released. And you are to report to probation at 132 Mitchell Street in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is just to set up your probation case for both these, for position number 9. And in that particular matter, you are to make sure that you have no further contact with Bianca First and stay away from 1726 Fairburn Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Keep in mind that if you violate these two conditions and she reports it and it's determined that you have in fact violated these conditions, you could end up spending the rest of the 12 months in prison. Do you understand?
If violation of what, ma'am? Violation of probation?
If you are seen within 200 yards of 1726 Fairburn Road, or if you are seen anywhere near Miss First or you try to communicate with her,
Okay,
you are to absolutely stay away from that location and have no contact with her. And this will be, the remainder will be 12 months non-reporting probation with the exception of the first visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Going back to ACDC, Mr. McLean, all your parties available?
I believe I'm lacking at this point only the social worker, so we'll make a call and see how quickly that part will happen.
All right, Deputy, yeah, Mr. McLean, please alert us if the social worker is going to be with you or appearing via Zoom. So because ACDC is just holding for that one case.
Correct, I'm aware.
All right, thank you. Deputy Milton, we have to hold until all of Mr. McLean's folks are present. So we can take a case up in courtroom. Is Mr. Kilbore's case available, please? That's position
We
number
have a
4.
roping officer, Your Honor. He hasn't reached the 7th floor as of yet. We're just waiting for him to log in on 7.
Okay, would that be for Malik Drummond?
That is correct.
All right, Mr. Kilbore, we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Your Honor, I'm just going to waive arraignment.
Oh, you are?
I don't know
Okay.
if I need, because I understand there's no offer.
Mr. Young, do we have an offer for position 4?
No, Your Honor, there's no offer. I'm speaking with Deputy Falk and an attorney from the District Attorney's Office. They will be indicting that case. It may have been indicted as of today. I received the email, I believe, like a week ago. So the state is not making an offer on that case for those reasons.
All right. Okay, Mr. Kilbore, well, in the old days, the grand jury used to convene on a Friday, but I guess Thursdays is also an appropriate day. So I don't know if it's been indicted, but I'll accept your waiver arraignment. If you could submit that in writing to Miss Casey Strong. I think Miss Strong may have placed an email in the chat.
Can I e-file it?
Oh, you could e-file it as well. Please do so before the end of this week.
I will do that.
All right, thank you very much.
Take care.
And
Your Honor, I take it that we don't need Mr. Drummond?
absolutely correct. Yes, thank you. Mhm. Okay, who do we have in courtroom 2, please?
This is going to be position number 2 on the SAP calendar, Mr. Brooks.
This is Jaquavius Brooks, accused of battery from April 1st, 2023 in case number 23 CR 002-895J. Mr. Brooks, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dodis, and this is going to be a plea. Mr. Brooks, may I place you under oath?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months, serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. Stay away from the incident location unless he's seeking medical treatment, no further contact with the victim unless during the course of treatment, and 8-week anger management, as this incident occurred at the hospital at Northside Hospital, 1000 Johnson Ferry Road, Northeastern Atlanta.
And the alleged victim, is that a staff member?
That's correct. It's Fulton County Hospital Authority, Glenn Terry.
Okay. Mr. Dodis, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID supporting the charge of battery?
Yes, Your Honor, we do so stipulate for the purpose of this plea and would ask Your Honor to accept the negotiated plea. We would ask if we could waive Mr. Brooks's probation fees and switch him over to non-reporting status upon completion of the 8 weeks of anger management. He's currently residentially challenged. I provided him with resources, and he's also on a fixed monthly SSI income. So we want to make sure that he can finish his 8 weeks of anger management successfully in that time.
Mr. Young, any concern with regards to non-reporting?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I will waive the probation fees for the month of May, June, and July. August 1st, he needs to start reporting to, he needs to start paying probation fees unless he has completed his 8 weeks of anger management classes. Well, May, June. I'll include August, sorry. Sorry, Ms. Strong. This will be May, June, July, and August. And if he hasn't completed the anger management classes, he will continue to report to probation and start paying probation fees from September 1st onwards. Mr. Brooks, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, I am not.
And have you understood everything that's going on so far in your case?
Yes.
And are you satisfied with your attorney, Mr. Dodis?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks, is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, they're not.
And has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty to this charge, that it will be a conviction on your record? In addition to that, you will not have the opportunity to go back to court and have a trial to challenge this charge in a court of law. You will not have the assistance of counsel. You will not confront your accuser. You will not be able to examine the evidence brought against you and the witnesses who testify against you. You will also have to give up your right to have the state prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of battery?
I plead innocent.
All right, then we will reset your case for trial.
Your Honor,
See you in-
hold on, stop. Can I have a second to speak with Mr. Brooks? We went over everything yesterday, but it might not have been clear. Thank you, Your Honor. I think we cleared up the confusion. My apologies.
All right, Mr. Brooks, again, how do you plead to one count of battery?
Guilty.
Accept your guilty plea. This will be a conviction on your record. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, then you'll be released from jail and you must report to the probation office next Thursday before 3 p.m. The probation office is located at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. You must make sure you're there next Thursday before 3 p.m. to meet your probation officer and set up your probation case. While you're on probation, you will complete 8 classes, 8 anger management classes. They offer these classes once a week at different qualified schools. Your probation officer will let you know which school you need to go in and complete those classes. You must make sure that you try to complete those classes by the end of August 2023, because after that, you will have to start paying probation fees if your classes are still yet to be completed. I will waive probation fees for May, June, July, and August of 2023. And if you've not completed your conditions, then you would need to start paying probation fees on September 1st. You are to stay away from the Northside Hospital at 1000 Johnson Ferry Road unless you have a medical appointment or you're seeking emergency treatment at that location. You're also to have no further contact with Mr. Glenn Terry unless this person is rendering medical services to you. That's the only time. and there cannot be any violent or physical contact at that time. Do you have any questions about your sentence, Mr. Brooks?
No, I do not.
All right, sir. But remember to report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m.
Okay, I got it.
I added that. By the way, I can also help you find free time on your calendar and reschedule.
Alexa, stop. So sorry, my Alexa is very sensitive. Okay, before we address the next case, ladies and gentlemen, this is a plea and arraignment calendar. If you decide to plead in order to receive a sentence and close your case out, the only pleas that I am accepting are guilty or no contest. That would depend on your conference with your attorney to decide whether you want to plead guilty or no contest. That's the only way I can sentence you and close your case out. But remember, when you are charged with a crime under the Constitution, you are legally presumed innocent of this charge. The law presumes that you're innocent of this charge. And when you go to court for a trial, the prosecution has the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the prosecution succeeds, then you could be convicted and your presumption of innocence is over. So if you decide to plead guilty, but you enter an innocent charge, that is an incorrect response, and I will reset your case for trial. I don't know if this is going to help, but that's law 101. Okay. So, Mr. Dotis, who do you have next?
It's position number 3, Your Honor, Mr. James Dewberry.
All right. Mr. James Dewberry, there was a hold for announcement. Mr. Dotis, what were you doing?
Yes, Your Honor, we're going to be pleading not guilty, and I'll file an arraignment, a waiver of arraignment. We would ask to address bond.
All right. Mr. Dewberry, your attorney is going to be filing a document, what we call a waiver of arraignment. That means you are pleading not guilty, and you will be exercising your right to have a trial in your particular case. All right. So meanwhile, we are going to address bond.
And Your Honor, my client does have a client, if I may go, or excuse me, my client does have a question, if I may.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Mr. Dotis, would your client need additional time to go over? I'm looking at the bond order. I was the one who set the bond, and I recall this case. So, I mean, I'll be glad to give you all time to, and I can take another case in the meantime.
Yes, Your Honor, I think in the interest of time, if I could have a minute to speak with my client elsewhere, we could address another position.
Sounds good. Mr. McLean, we can take your next case, please.
Your Honor, I do have 2 announcements. One is the social worker will be on shortly, I believe, and within probably about 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
And secondly, Your Honor, One of my announcements is flatly incorrect, and I believe it's
No problem. Which one is that?
number 13, I believe. Oh, that's not your fault, Mr. Doty. That's my fault. Number 13, I'm pretty sure is the not guilty, but I'm double checking on that by checking on Odyssey sheet.
No problem.
I think I just put that down wrong last.
All right. And so we're still waiting on Miss Orsonio, right?
Yes, Your Honor, that'll be just in a few minutes.
All right.
I think we'll have everybody assembled.
Do you have another individual another client that we can address in courtroom 2?
Most all of my other clients, by coincidence, statistically speaking, most are negotiated pleas. we
So
just-
is there anyone seated behind whom I can take next?
Oh,
Your Honor,
I'm sure.
We can go to Mr. Stratford, position 17.
17. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's good. The rest of them are pretty much negotiated. Now, I do have an interpreter of American Sign Language for Mr. Stinson. So we, of course, will need a breakout just before we address court.
All right. We have a Spanish interpreter and a sign interpreter, Mr. Ray. Welcome back, sir.
Right. The Spanish interpreter is here for Mr. Roman Hurtado, whose last name is misspelled with an A to look like it's Hurtado, but it's not.
Okay. So is Mr. Roman Hurtado in the courtroom too?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
All right. And who is the sign interpreter?
I am, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Ray. And Mr. McLean, who's the client requiring Spanish and sign interpretation?
Mr. Stinson.
Stinson. Is he in the courtroom too?
No, Your Honor, he's in the medical floor.
All right. And who do you have next to you right now, Mr. McLean?
Position 17, Mr. Stratford.
Bradford.
Okay. After Mr. Stratford, may we address Mr. Roman Hurtado, please? Okay, thank you. We have State versus Byron Lee Stratford, position 17, case number 23 CR 003168J. Mr. Stratford was accused of battery, domestic violence on January 7th, 2023. He has a second count of simple battery domestic violence as well. With regards to Mr. Stratford, this is going to be a negotiated plea. Does he have, okay, sorry about that. Mr. Stratford, you've been advised of your right to remain silent and your attorney is Mr. McLean. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Reddick, what's the plea offer for Mr. Stratford?
Your Honor, on this case, excuse me, on behalf of the state, the offer is 12 months to serve 129 days. Credit for time served of the 129 days. Balance is probated. Family Violence Intervention Program. No further contact with a Miss Natasha Davis. Your Honor, we also believe that there are 4 additional counts not listed on the calendar, but are visible in Odyssey. We will be null processing those 4 additional counts once Mr. Stratford enters the plea to counts 1 and 2.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that does bring up, I do need a point of clarity, Your Honor, if I might, from the state. So count 1 on the calendar has a recitation of subsequent conviction. And I wonder if the state could enlighten us as to what that is.
I think it's been amended to battery family violence first offense, according to the amended accusation. I'm seeing it as a first offense on Odyssey. I do see, and I did check that, and but it's listed as first offense on Odyssey.
Right, that is precisely the interpretation that I had guessed at, and I'm thinking this, Your Honor, I need to ask the state, at this point in time, with the null process that will occur once he pleads guilty to count 1 and count 2, does he have any open battery family violences at that point?
Let me check, because I did not prepare the response.
I don't want to set him up by being ignorant.
Oh, okay. So counts 3 and 4 and 5 were added on May 19th of this month. And since if this plea goes forward, then those count 3, 4, and 5, I understand will be null pros. And definitely check on
Your Honor is probably aware we have time limitations when we're dealing with SAP. And
No,
checking.
no, I understand that. But I just wanted to be sure that, yeah, I saw that on the calendar and I went and checked and it was listed as first offense on the Odyssey. So that's what I'm going with. And that's what will be on the disposition if we move forward.
So in all candor to the court, I wanted to make sure the court understood that in preparing the plea paperwork, I had simply put battery dash family violence period on here.
It's entirely up to you. You can even put parentheses, first offense, and the disposition as when Miss Strong fills out the disposition sheet, it will reflect exactly what's on Odyssey, which is battery, family violence, parentheses, first offense.
Very good. So if there's no other battery family violence, that's an open case. Once the null process are taken care of, he's ready to go forward.
I don't know. I mean, do we have pretrial present this morning? Ms. Tyson?
Sure. Yes, I'm
May
here.
we verify if position 17 Stratford has any other open cases regarding battery or battery family violence?
Okay, hold 1 second here. Let me check.
Jail farm. Jail farm. Time served. Course that's very expensive. Costs approximately $140.
Oh, Mr. McLean, you might want to mute the screen because we are picking up your audio.
It looks like he's not going to have one. He did have a 23 CP battery family violence, but it looks like it was transferred. And I'm guessing it was, I'm more than sure it was probably because it was transferred over to one of those counts that was transferred over to the case that's actually on the calendar, that 23 CR. So that one's not open and it was a felony battery family violence.
What was the date of incident?
Let's see. It's the same date. Yep. January 7th, 2023. So yep, it was transferred over to state court.
Okay.
So once they null price the other ones, then yeah, there's no other open battery family violence. There's no other open cases in general, but no family violence ones either.
Okay.
We're ready to go then.
All right. Okay, Mr. Stratford, could you raise your right hand, please, for purposes of the truth? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I swear.
Ms. Reddick, I believe you've already indicated the sentence to be 12 months to serve, 129 days, balance prorated. How much time has he been? He's been in custody for 130 days, according to the jail screen, which would include today. Then he'll be placed on probation to do a domestic violence intervention program and have no contact with Natasha Davis. Is that correct? Are those the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And this is going to be a concurrent plea for the sentence for both counts?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we stipulate to the 3 necessary elements, and he asks the court to accept his negotiated plea to the terms as outlined by the state.
All right. Does he still live at Washington Street or does he have a different address?
His address, Your Honor, will be 2301 Godby Road, apartment A17 in College Park.
817?
The letter A followed by 17. So he will be away from the other.
Okay. All right. Mr. Stratford, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
All right. And have you understood what's been going on so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has you satisfied with your attorney's representation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anyone made any representations which are, in other words, is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea offer today?
No, Your Honor. May I ask a question?
You may
Yes.
be a question.
Excuse me, while Mr. McLean is talking.
Yeah.
We are now processing the last three charges, just to confirm, correct?
3, 4, and 5, which is battery, simple battery, and theft by taking. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And just please make sure that the count 1 indicates battery, family violence, first offense. Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. McLean, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, as I was saying, Mr. Stratford, is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today in order to get out of jail quickly?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and has it been explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty to the 2 counts brought against you, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to have a trial? You will not have your attorney help you to go back into a courtroom, to confront your accuser, to examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have this prosecution carry its burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of battery, family violence as a first offense?
Guilty on both charges, Your Honor.
All right, so you're entering a guilty plea to simple battery, family violence as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 130 days, credit for time served 130 days. Your balance is going to be on probation. While you're on probation, you will attend and complete a 24-week program we call Domestic Violence Intervention. These are weekly classes, and you must attend each and every one of them every week and not skip a single class. You must begin those classes within 60 days of being released. And while you are out on probation, you are to have no contact with Natasha Davis. You have to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. You will report to probation. If you are released within 24 hours, you will report to the probation office next Thursday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. That concludes our case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Come on, Mr. Hadash.
All right.
This is,
Yes,
this
is this-
14 and 15.
Thank you. May we have our Spanish interpreter, please? I think Ms. Chansey was present. There she is. Ms. Chansey, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the information that you translate will be a true, accurate, and verbatim translation with no changes or embellishments?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, this is State versus Leonel Roman Hurtado.
Este es la Fiscalía en contra de Leonel Román Hurtado.
Mr. Hurtado has 2 cases before us this morning.
El señor Hurtado presenta 2 acusaciones ante nosotros esta mañana.
The first case is 22 CR 003-842A, in which he is accused of public drunk.
El primer caso es el 22 CR 0038842A por ebriedad en público.
And the second case is 23 FTA 000342 for failure to appear in court.
El segundo caso es 23 FTA 00342 por incumplimiento de comparecencia ante el tribunal.
Okay, Mr. Roman, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you.
Señor Román Hurtado, usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que diga puede y será usado en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean.
Usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado y su abogado es el señor Michael McLean.
For purposes of this plea, may I place you under oath?
Por el propósito de realizar esta declaración, puedo juramentarlo.
Please raise your right hand if you decide to take the oath.
Por favor, levante su mano derecha si usted quiere juramentarse.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
¿Usted jura o afirma que la declaración que dará será cierta y verdadera a su mejor saber y entender?
Sí.
I do.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Ms. Reddick, what is the plea offer for position 14? I understand you will null pros position 15 if he takes the plea.
Señor Reddy, ¿cuál es el convenio declaratorio? Entiendo que no va a procesar el cargo en la posición 15.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. Our offer, a negotiated plea deal is 12 months to serve 38 days.
One moment, please. Sí, eso es correcto, su señoría. La oferta es de 12 meses a servir 38 días. Thank you, ma'am.
Balance of the 38 days will be on, the balance of the remaining 12 months will be on probation.
Lo que resta de la sentencia será cumplida bajo libertad probatoria.
He will undergo a drug and alcohol evaluation and treatment if necessary.
Él se debe someter a una evaluación de drogas y alcohol y tratamiento si es necesario.
Your Honor, we do want the record to be clear. His counsel had previously stated we have his name spelled wrong on the accusation. I would ask that he place the correct spelling of his last name and waive any defects.
Yo quisiera aclarar para el acta que el licenciado mencionó que el deletreo del apellido lo tenemos incorrecto y quisiera que él lo deletree correctamente para que quede establecido.
We do waive the defect and we will put the spelling on the plea paperwork.
Sí, renunciamos a hacerlo, pero lo vamos a poner correctamente en la documentación.
By the way, Mr. McLean, how do you spell his first name?
¿Cómo se deletrea el primer nombre, señor McLean?
Let me make sure. Is your first name correctly spelled?
¿Está correcto así escrito su nombre?
Sí, está correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
That one is correct, Your Honor.
Leonel?
Leonel.
Sí, es correcto.
Yes, that's correct.
And on his last name, it begins with Roman, common spelling?
Correct.
El segundo el primer apellido es Roman.
Sí, es Román, es correcto. El otro que está mal va con U.
Yes, Roman is correct, but the second last name is incorrect. It's spelled out with a U.
Hurtado?
Hurtado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. We have that correct spelling under his booking aliases as well.
Lo tenemos correctamente también en la registración de él como el alias.
All right. Okay, Ms. Reddick, the defense has waived the defect with regards to the misspelled portion of his name.
Señor Reddick quiere que se renuncie a el defecto que se ha ocurrido y debido a que estaba mal deletreado.
Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for this charge?
We stipulate to all three, Your Honor, ask the court to accept the negotiated plea of guilty on a negotiated basis on the terms the state laid out. And in all candor to the
One
court.
moment, please, Mr. McLean. Thank you. Señor McLean, usted acuerda mutuamente con la sentencia. Sí, estamos acordando, considerando los siguientes comentarios. Please go ahead, sir.
And in all candor to the court, the delay has been in our attempting to get contact with family and to get social work services set up and or discovered in detail so that we could correctly advise them on where to get them. So
La demora se debió a que se tuvo que hacer esfuerzos para contactar a la familia, a la trabajadora social y también poder establecer y desarrollar descubrimientos para poder servirlo a mi cliente con un mejor consejo.
we have been more successful in the second sphere than in the first sphere. So I feel confident that we've given him information on how to get social work. But I must note that the contact information sheet with regard to him being residentially challenged, et cetera, will be one of the more lean ones.
Hemos tenido éxito con contactar a la trabajadora social, pero con la otra parte de todo este plan hemos tenido otro tipo de respuesta.
But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Está llevando tiempo.
Mr. Roman Hurtado, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Señor Román Hurtado, ¿ha consumido usted alguna medicina o alcohol o droga recientemente?
No.
No.
Have you understood the proceedings so far?
¿Usted ha entendido todo este proceso hasta ahora?
Sí.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
¿Usted está satisfecho con los servicios de su abogado?
Sí.
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to enter a guilty plea today?
¿Hay alguien que lo haya forzado a tomar una declaración de culpabilidad hoy?
No. No.
No.
Please understand that if you accept and enter a guilty plea today, you would have to give up your right to have a trial in the future.
Por favor entienda que si usted acepta y toma declaración de culpabilidad hoy, va a renunciar a sus derechos de defenderse en un juicio en un futuro.
Sí, está bien.
Yes, that's fine.
You will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Tiene que entender que usted no podrá tener la oportunidad de defenderse, de tener testigos, de interrogarlos, de presentar evidencia y también hacer que la fiscalía compruebe su culpabilidad más allá de toda duda razonable, ¿entiende?
Sí, entiendo.
I do understand.
How do you plead to one count of public drunk?
¿Cómo se declara por un cargo de ebriedad en público?
Culpable, así como dice.
Guilty, that's the plea.
The sentence is 12 months to serve 38 days, credit for time served, I think it was 19 days, wasn't it, Ms. Reddick?
12 meses de sentencia con 38.
No.
I didn't say credit for time served, Your Honor.
Yeah, let me correct that.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
going to be 12 months to serve 40 days, 40, credit for time served 40 days. I'm including the time that he served on the bench warrant and the time he served on the public drunk.
Thank you, Your Honor.
One moment, please. Son 12 meses para servir 40 días, con crédito de 40 días. También se le da crédito por el tiempo que sirvió por su arresto y por el caso de ebriedad en público.
The balance will be on probation, where he has to complete an alcohol and drug evaluation and submit himself to any treatment if required.
Lo que queda de la sentencia se cumplirá bajo libertad probatoria, en donde él tendrá que someterse a una evaluación de drogas y alcohol y también a tratamiento si es recomendado.
Once you completed the alcohol and drug evaluation and any treatment that's required, your probation will be non-reporting.
una vez que se haya completado esta evaluación y tratamiento, si es necesario, la libertad probatoria pasará a un nivel de no necesitar la presentación ante la oficina.
Yes, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, Tracy's iPhone, that video is gonna have to get killed because she has some inappropriate stuff.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to what's going on the other folks. What's going on with Tracy's iPhone?
Correct, it's corrected now. It's corrected now.
Okay,
I took it down.
thank you. All right, any questions, Mr. McLean?
¿Alguna pregunta, señor
No,
McLean?
Your Honor, we have referred Mr. Roman Hurtado primarily to Grady Health System and to Mercy Mobile Care, which is approximately 6 blocks east of Grady. And we encourage him to seek care at those two places.
No, su señoría, nosotros hemos derivado al señor Román Hurtado, al Hospital Grady y también a Mercy Mobile Care, que está más o menos a unas 6 cuadras de distancia del hospital, y también le hemos indicado y recomendado que busque guía médica en este lugar.
All right. As I said, if he's completed any the evaluation and any treatment, then his probation is non-reporting. He will have to report to probation next Thursday at 132 Mitchell Street, downtown Atlanta, before 3 p.m.
Bueno, una vez que que complete esta evaluación y tratamiento, él no tendrá que presentarse en persona para su sentencia de probatoria. Él tendrá que presentarse ante la oficina, sin embargo, del 132 de Mitchell Street antes de las 3 de la tarde, este jueves próximo.
Ok, ahí me van a dar la dirección.
Okay, will I get the street address?
Yes, it should be, Mr. McLean will give it to you.
Yes,
El señor, su abogado se lo dará, señor.
you'll have it in writing.
Se lo va a dar por escrito.
Okay.
And Mr. McLean, when he fills out the probation intake information, you can circle the top. It's got the address there too.
Sure, and we're going to highlight that yellow or orange.
All right, thank you.
Le van a poner bien en amarillo o anaranjado, se lo van a colorear para que no se le olvide.
All right.
Nada más tengo que presentarme o tengo que dar dinero.
I just have to be present or I have to pay money too.
You have to show up and you have to pay probation fees every month.
Todos los meses tiene que presentarse y pagar las tarifas de probatoria.
It would be good, Your Honor, to waive a couple months of fees if possible.
Sería bueno que se le cancelen ciertas tarifas por algunos meses, si es posible.
I'll wait it till the end of July, but if he's done with his condition, then the fees don't have to be paid. But if he hasn't done it, he needs to start paying September 1st onwards.
Correct.
Entonces, las voy a cancelar a las tarifas hasta julio, pero si él tiene todo cumplido con respecto a la evaluación y tratamiento de droga de alcohol. Si él no la tiene, él debe estar en septiembre, ya comenzarán los cobros de tarifas.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr.
Gracias.
McLean, Mr. Dodis, do you have any other clients who need a Spanish interpreter?
No, Your Honor.
Entonces,
All right, thank you, Ms. Chansey. We appreciate you being here.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too, thank you.
Sorry, I have a question.
Who is this?
This is one of the a sister of like an incarcerated, the woman that's sitting right
Miss
there.
Carolina, please do not interrupt. Thank you. All right. Mr. McLean, your my goodness, Miss Kasha is present.
Correct, Your Honor.
Anyone else? We're waiting for position number 10. I'll
We're
put
not-
you in-
Right, we're no longer waiting, so we're ready.
Oh, you're ready to proceed? Okay.
We're ready not to proceed in court, but to have the breakout room.
To have the breakout. Okay. So please tell our host, who do you need to place in a breakout?
Carolina and Ms. Amin Williams, let's see, on Angelo Dotis.
No, start again. We have individual by the name of Carolina. Who else?
Right. And Angelo Dotis PD Angelo Dotis, I'll use his laptop.
Okay, Mr. Dodis's laptop, okay. ACDC would be where Ms. Osorino is. Who else?
And Carolina,
And got her?
and where is,
It's Osornio, by the way.
Oh, my good heavens. Miss Carolina, please start your video now. Carolina Osonorio, start your video now or I'm removing you from the Zoom. Who is Carolina? Pull the car for, put it in park. Put the car in park. We can't hear a damn word. Good heavens.
Me not driving.
Carolina.
Uh-huh. She
Who
needs a
is
Spanish
Carolina?
interpreter. She
All
needs
right.
a Spanish.
Now you tell us. Thank you very much. I just dismissed the interpreter. Mr. McLean, I think you need to get on the phone before I have these folks thrown out of the Zoom.
I will be glad to get on the phone. I have the number.
You do not interrupt court. You speak to the attorney. You don't interject. Do you understand?
I understand,
Good.
ma'am.
Now, now be quiet. Be quiet. Mr. McLean, I'm going to put you in a breakout with Miss Osorino. And this, I don't know how to help you with an interpreter. She's gone. So you're going to have to use that person driving to interpret.
Your Honor, I think a phone call first, and then the breakout might not be necessary, but I'll do the
I'm
phone.
going to put you in a breakout. Y'all do what you want.
Okay, thank you, guys.
But I will not tolerate this kind of interference. You might want to give them a 1, 2, 3 on courtroom protocol.
Exactly, okay.
All right. And Miss, who's the host right now? Is it Mr.
I have it.
The host? Mr. Jordan, please remove Carolina until they park their car. I think they're gone. So let them, when they're in the waiting room, make sure that they have parked their car before you let them back in. Thank you. All right, Mr. Jordan, you can place ACDC and Mr. Dodis's laptop as soon as it's up. And
the one marked Kasha, Kasha, that's her.
and Kasha, yes. Kasha, you present with us? Lovely sight. Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to put these folks in a breakout room, and then we will readdress the case. Thank you.
Your Honor, if I make a quick announcement. I didn't realize my apologies. I was speaking with the client. I didn't realize my laptop was being hijacked.
Yes,
I was speaking with ASG Young. If he could please, I saw he sent a couple of messages. If you could please send those to the courtroom 2 Zoom chats. I can't see them anymore because we're in a breakout room.
Okay, Mr. Young and Ms. Reddick, if you need to communicate with Mr. Dodis, right now, I think you can only send it to courtroom 2, and that monitor will be viewed by Mr. Dodis and the officer in the courtroom. Okay, all right, I have a gentleman at 4 North. May I have his name, please?
Position 1, Mr. Adams.
All right. And that's Mr. Dodis's client. This is position 1, Carrie Adams, case number 23 CR 002-923C. Mr. Adams is accused of battery, domestic violence from May 6, 2023. Mr. Adams, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Angelo Dodis. Mr. Dodis, I have a note. This is going to be a negotiated nolo contendere. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor, this is going to be a negotiated, I believe. I will ask Mr. Carey. We received information that Mr. Adams has used a NOLO in the past 5 years, so we're not going to request that. Mr. Adams, I went over the aftermath of choosing to plead guilty to these charges, but would you still want to go forward and accept this offer, pleading guilty?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. This will be a negotiated plea. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Adams, please note that if I accept this guilty plea to a charge of battery family violence, any subsequent arrest for a similar offense will be a felony charge. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. May I place you under oath, please? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what is the plea recommendation for Mr. Adams?
Yes, Your Honor, the plea recommendation for Mr. Adams is 12 months, served 26 days, credit for time served 13 days with the balance probated. No further contact with the victim. Give me just a moment, I get her name. No contact with the victim, Octavia Stevens, and to stay away from 2580 Foxler Trail in South Fulton.
Repeat the address again, please, in South Fulton.
2580 Foxler, F-O-X.
Foxler.
Yes, Your Honor.
Foxler Road, sorry?
Foxler Trail.
Trail.
South Fulton.
South Fulton, okay.
And 40 hours community service and family violence intervention program.
Okay. Mr. Dotis, those are the terms. Does your client accept them, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we do accept that offer and would ask this court to accept it as well and stipulate to the 3 elements for the purpose of this plea. We would ask for this to go to non-reporting status upon completion of the FVIP program and the 40 hours community service. And if Your Honor would waive a few months of Mr. Adams' probation fees to allow him to get back on his feet, that would be appreciated.
I'm not going to accept non-reporting. I'm just looking at just his history with Fulton County. He doesn't qualify for a non-reporting status on this particular charge. Mr. Adams, if you decide to plead guilty to the charge, the sentence will be 12 months of probation, less 26 days. Would you still like to? Less 13 days. Would you still like to proceed with the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. In that case, Mr. Adams, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you were discussing this case with your attorney, did it explain to you that by pleading guilty to battery family violence, that this will go on your record and that any subsequent offense will be a felony charge for the same offense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so has he also explained to you that if you decide to plead guilty, that you will have to give up your right to go back to court, to go back to have a trial before a judge or a jury, to be able to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you plead to 1 count of battery family violence?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 26 days, credit for time served 13 days. The balance will be probated. You will report to probation next Thursday at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta, and where you will set up your probation case. You will be required to report to probation every month. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I will waive your probation fees for May, June, and July, but you have to start paying probation fees from September 1st onward. While you're on probation, you're to stay away from 2580 Foxler Trail in South Fulton. You're not permitted to return to that location at all.
All right.
You are to also have no contact with Octavia Stevens, which means you have to stay 200 yards away from her, not communicate with her or her immediate family members, either in person or through any kind of computer or electronic means. You're also not to discuss her on social media. Do you understand?
Yeah, ma'am.
While you're on probation, you will complete 40 hours of voluntary community service with any nonprofit agency, and you will complete a 24-week domestic violence intervention program. Those classes, the PBIP program, must begin within 60 days of being released, and the 40 hours community service can be completed during the term of your probation. Do you have any questions about your sentence?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. For North, do you have another person to address? For North, officer, do you have another person to address?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, good morning. Do you have anyone else to address at 4 North?
I do. I have two more, but the attorneys are Mr. McLean.
Okay, I'll wait for Mr. McLean then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Your Honor, this is Mr. Dewberry again, position 4, I believe, or
Okay.
position 3. I need 1 second to convey what ASG Young just told me.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're prepared to go forward with after further discussion with my client and Mr. Young, we're going to ask that a negotiated plea be accepted for position 3.
All right. So in that case, Mr. Dotis, you won't have to file a waiver of arraignment, and this bond modification request is dismissed. So we are readdressing James Dewberry, case 23 CR 002939F. Mr. Dewberry has been advised of his rights. Mr. Dewberry, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony provided will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Dewberry is accused of simple assault, 2 counts. And Mr. Dotis, is your client aware of count 2?
Yes, Your Honor, we would ask to waive sounding count 2.
All right. And since this is a negotiated plea, all I need to hear from the prosecution is their recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor, for count 1, the state's recommendation is 12 months. Serve 90 days, credit for time served, 13 days, the balance probated, mental health evaluation and treatment. Stay away from 1025 North Highland Avenue Northeast, that is the Chevron, and no further contact with the victim, Kaylin McKenna. And for count 2, 12 months served, 45 days, credit for time served, 13 days, to be concurrent to count 1. And count 3, 12 months served, 45 days, credit for time served, 13 days, concurrent to count 1, and to stay away from the victim, Adam Prescott.
Okay. I had Caitlin McKenna, Adam Prescott, Joseph Morris, and Naguso Salu. So just those 2 now? McKenna and Prescott?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dotis, are those the terms to which your client has agreed? And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for all 3 charges?
Yes, Your Honor. Those are the facts in the offer that I mentioned to my client. We're prepared to go forward and ask this court to accept that offer. We do stipulate to the 3 elements for the purpose of this plea. Mr. Dewberry is clear that he will have to report for the full 12 months minus the time in jail for probation, but he is residentially challenged. So we would ask this court to waive his probation fees for the remainder of his probation.
I will waive the first 2 months of his probation. As soon as he's completed his jail time, he would have to make efforts to get a job and start paying his probation fees. I'm not waiving the whole year.
Understood, Your Honor.
And keeping in mind that if he violates the terms of his probation, or if he doesn't report, or if he gets arrested again, he could result in his probation being revoked and serving out the rest of the year in jail. Does he understand that?
He understands, Your Honor, and I've provided him with a list of resources and contact information and an address for probation. So I believe he will be successful.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Mr. Dewberry, please, we've already placed you under oath. I think I did. I can't remember, but let me try again. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Dewberry, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you understood your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with his services?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you entering a plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that you will be on probation where you will not only have to complete a MH evaluation, but also submit yourself to any treatment?
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll have to stay 200 yards away from 1025 North Highland Avenue. That's the length of 2 football fields. You'll have to stay away from that entire area.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, which is the Chevron gas station. You know where that is, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot be seen anywhere near that location.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you about the probation. Can I, Your Honor, I think my question, or my client has a question, if I can place him on. mute.
Sure, you may. All right, Mr. Dodis, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, he just had a question about probation, but we're clear on that.
Okay. All right, and as I was saying, Mr. Dewberry, has it been explained to you that if you decide to enter a guilty plea to these 3 charges, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial, to have your attorney help you challenge the evidence brought against you, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present any defenses you may have and choose to present, and also have the prosecution try to prove all 3 charges against you by carrying the burden of beyond a reasonable doubt? Has that been explained to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you willingly, voluntarily, and knowingly waive these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 2 counts of simple assault?
Guilty, ma'am.
And how do you plead to the 3rd charge, count 2?
Guilty.
Repeat.
Guilty.
On count, all right, Mr. Young, I'm assuming the main charge is with regards to count 2. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So with regards to count 2, the sentence is 12 months to serve 90 days, credit for time served 13 days. So that would leave him with how much more time at the jail?
My calculation was 32 days, if Mr. Young has the same calculation.
I believe that's correct.
All right, 32 more days at the Fulton County Jail. Once you've completed the 32 actual days, you'll be released and you must report to probation within 7 days. You can report on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday before 3 p.m., but definitely within 7 days of being released. Once you report to probation, they will set up a probation case for you. I will waive your probation fees for May, June, and July, and you will start paying probation fees from September 1st, 2023 onwards. While you're on probation, you will complete an MH evaluation at your expense and pay for any treatment that's required. You are also to stay away from the Chevron gas station at 1025 North Highland Avenue in Northeast Atlanta and have no contact with Caitlin McKenna and Adam Prescott. You're to stay 200 yards away from the location and these individuals and not communicate with them in any way, form, or manner. If you violate any of these conditions, or if you fail to report, probation may be revoked and you will end up spending the rest of the time in prison. With regards to count 1 and count 2, it's 12 months to serve 45 days, credit for time served 13 days. I'm so sorry, yeah, and this will be concurrent to count 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Judge Law,
Yeah.
can we go to this plea one more time? I just want to make sure that we have it correct on the Cindy sheet. So it's 12 months.
So for count two, I'm just literally reading off the plea offer. Count 2, it's a 12 months to serve, 90 days, credit for 13 days, balance probated. Do you have everything else? The 8-week anger management, the MHET? Oh, was that an 8-week anger management, or has that been knocked out?
The 8-week anger management has been removed.
Okay, let me just cross that out, sorry. There's no 8-week anger management, it's just the MHET and the stay away from the individuals and the location. Then it's, according to this, it's 12 months to serve for counts 1 and 3. Simple assault is 12 months to serve 45 days. Do you want to amend that to 90 days or keep it at 45 days? Mr. Young?
We can amend it to 90 days if it simplifies the process, unless PD doesn't oppose this.
I don't think it would change anything. So if that's what you want to do, because that one count would hold them for the.
Correct.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So for counts 1 and 3, it's 12 months to serve 90 days, 90, credit for time served 13 days concurrent to count 2. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Dotis. Mr. Dewberry, who's next, please?
Yes, sir. Good luck.
Judge Law. I'm sorry. So it's 90 days on 1 and 3 and 45 on 2.
No. They're
It's
all
90 days for all of them.
them, right. He's got 32 more days to serve at the jail before he can be released.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
All right, and this is y'all have to, okay, I think this is Mr. Brandon Stinson.
This is Mr. Gardner, correct? Position 5, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yes, Mr. Rick, did you have a question?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just letting the court know that I have about 22 minutes left.
Okay.
My scheduled time here. Thank you, Your
Understood.
Honor.
Thank you. Is Brandon Stinson available?
No, Your Honor. Fort North, the officer that's on Fort North, he's the roving officer.
And that's Mr. McLean's client, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I can go try and track down.
No, let's, Mr. Jordan, could you please go into the breakout and let Mr. McLean know that I need him like the next 5 minutes to address a case at Fort North, and then he can resume his breakout. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And position, courtroom 2, which position is that? I'm sorry, did you say Gardner?
Yes, Your Honor. Position 5.
Okay. This is Elijah Gardner, case number 23 CR 002898B. Mr. Gardner has got 2 counts of criminal trespass accused against him from a May 10th, 2023 incident. With regard to this matter, Mr. Gardner, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dotis. This is going to be a non-negotiated plea. So, Mr. Gardner, we're first going to hear from the prosecutor, along with any allegations of the factual basis, and then proceed to your attorney's recommendation. Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days, no further contact with the victim. Tremaine Mack, stay away from the incident location. With that being 427 Oliver Street Northwest in Atlanta. And the same for count 2.
All right. And did you want to state any factual basis, or shall I move forward?
Briefly, Your Honor, law enforcement officer responded to this location, spoke with the victim, who stated that the defendant damaged 2 phones and chased him. We did have some contact with the victim. He is unable to provide receipts as far as the restitution goes, and he's understanding of the course we must take in regards to the restitution. And that's all for the state.
All right, so there's no restitution at this time. Okay, thank you. Mr. Dodis, what is your request?
Your Honor, if there's no restitution, then this will be a negotiated plea, I believe. The only extra condition we would ask for is a one-time sheriff's escort to the stay-away address so that Mr. Gardner can retrieve his property.
All right, so so restitution seemed to be the sticky point. So since that's off the table, so this will be a negotiated plea. Mr. Gardner, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gardner, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And has it been explained to you that if you enter a guilty plea to these charges, if you enter a NOLO plea, is he entering a NOLO plea to one of the counts?
This is, my apologies for my announcements were off. It should just be guilty to both counts.
Okay. If you enter a guilty plea to these charges, then you would have to give up your constitutional right to have a trial, to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence and their witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 2 counts of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you'll be released and you must report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m.
Your Honor, I believe it should just be balance suspended. Restitution was the only condition, I believe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Would that be correct? Balance suspended since restitution's off the table? Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor, that's fine.
Okay.
Balance can be suspended.
Let me repeat. It'll be 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended. And once he's released, he cannot return to 427 Oliver Street in Atlanta, Georgia. He's permitted to go back there one time only with a police officer to retrieve any personal belongings. That visit cannot exceed 1 hour. I think that's all I have. Was that correct, Mr. Young?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes this case then. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Is Mr. McLean back from the breakout? Mr. Jordan?
Your Honor, the roving officer is on his way to medical to get Mr. Stinson for the ASL. All the other cases that are in courtroom 2 are all Mr. Dodis. So can we proceed with Mr.
Yes.
Dodis' cases until
Mr. McLean appears? Okay, but my interpreter is on the clock, so. Let's see.
This will be position 6, Mr. Hutchins.
This is State versus Michael Hutchings, case 23 CR 002901D. Mr. Hutchings is charged with theft by taking and with a criminal trespass causing damage to property from an incident on May 9th, 2023. Mr. Hutchings, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dodis. Is restitution still an issue on the table, Mr. Young?
No, Your Honor, we have. My apologies. There is no restitution at this point. We've been able to secure documents and make contact with the victim in this case.
All right, and will this be a balance suspended or balance probated fee?
For those reasons, balance suspended.
All right. So shall I deem this to be a negotiated plea then, Mr. Dodis?
Yes, Your Honor. I should have let Mr. Young know that it would be a negotiated plea. I don't have my laptop. My apologies for.
No, that's okay, no worries. Mr. Hutchings, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchings, have you consumed, Mr. Dotis, we stipulate, you can bring your hand down. Mr. Dotis, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
Yes, Your Honor. We do so stipulate for the purpose of this plea.
Mr. Hutchings, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, Your Honor.
And has it been explained to you that if I accept your plea, that you would have to give up your constitutional rights to a trial, to confront your accuser, examine the state's evidence, to challenge their witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 2 counts of, 1 count of theft by taking and 1 count of criminal trespass causing damage to property?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, balance suspended. You have to stay away from the incident location. Do not return to that location at all where you were arrested. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case, please, for Mr. Dotis.
Yes, sir.
Next is going to be position number 7, Mr. Robert Clicker.
This is State versus Robert John Clicker, case number 23 CR 0029020Y. Mr. Clicker has been accused of theft by taking and theft of services from an incident of May 10th, 2023. Mr. Clicker, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dotis. And this is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you under oath, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 30 days, credit for time served, 16 days, the balance probated. Stay away from the incident location being 1005 Kingswood Place in Alpharetta, that's Comfort Suites Hotel. I'm in an anti-theft class and the same offer for count 2 theft of service.
All right. Mr. Dotis, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor. We do so stipulate to the 3 elements for the purpose of this plea. We would request for this to switch to non-reporting status upon completion of the anti-theft class. And if Your Honor could waive a few months of Mr. Clicker's probation fees, he is residentially challenged, and we want to make sure that he can afford the anti-theft class.
Ms. Tyson, can you let me know what's his GCIC for the last 5 years?
Yes, Your Honor. Looks like the defendant, in total, he has 40 arrest cycles beginning in 97. History within the last 10 years includes a felony conviction for trafficking, cocaine, illegal drugs, marijuana, or methamphetamine. Marijuana possession less than an ounce out of Cobb County. Disposition date on that is December of 2014. He has 1 FTA, and his last arrest was out of Dunwoody for disorderly conduct, giving false name, address, or birthday to law enforcement officer. The disposition is not listed for that. And it's a pretty old arrest. It's from June 2014. All it says for the disposition is that warrant was issued.
All right, thank you.
Nothing to add. You're welcome.
Mr. Clicker doesn't qualify for non-reporting probation. He will have to report every month. I will waive his probation fees for the first 5 months, which would be. So he will have to start paying off probation fees from October 1st, 2023 onwards. That will give him time to get housing and a job and pay his debt to society, so to speak.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let me make, my client has a question if you want me to. Thank you, Your Honor. My client did want to clarify, he does have another matter in DeKalb that he'll need to resolve before he's released. I know Your Honor, I believe stated for him to report to probation by next Thursday.
Okay, so does he have a DeKalb County hold? Because I don't see one.
That's my understanding, is that he has a DeKalb County hold. It's quite an old one, so he's not sure if they're going to, it's Dunwoody, excuse me, not DeKalb. My understanding is he's not clear if they're going to come and get him, and they have 3 days to make that decision. We would ask it to just be worded as report the following Thursday upon release, if that's.
That'll be fine.
Thank you.
I don't see a hold, but. Oh, hang on, what's this? Yeah, he does have a Dunwoody hold. You're absolutely right. But I don't know what's the charge. It's a hold without bond. So he has to report to probation within 7 days of being released, and then his probation begins from that point onwards. It's told until he's released from wherever.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to make sure that we were all clear. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Clicker, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
And counsel, we do stipulate to factual basis, venue and ID, yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Clicker, has it been explained to you that if you enter a plea today, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial? You will not be able to go back to court, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft of services and 1 count of theft by taking?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 16 days. Your jail time for this particular matter is resolved, but you will have to address your DeKalb County matter in the city of Dunwoody. Upon release from the city of Dunwoody or DeKalb County, you will report to probation within 7 days on any Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday before 3 p.m. You'll be on probation for the remainder of the probation, which will be 11 months. And you're to stay away from the hotel, I think it was called the Conference Suite Hotel. Was that correct?
Comfort Suites, Your Honor, I believe.
Oh, Comfort Suite. Okay, Comfort Suite Hotel at 1005 Kings Road in Alpharetta. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 8, Mr. Mays.
Is that, all right, who is at 3 South?
Position 16, Mr.
Yes.
Is that Mr. Stinson at 3 South?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Jordan, it's imperative that Mr. McLean comes out of the breakout now. Thank you. All right, courtroom 2, you have Mr. Mays. Kenya Mays is accused of willful obstruction of an officer and battery from case 23-002933B. Mr. Mays, this is an incident in Fulton County from May 12, 2023. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dodis. Please raise your right hand. I understand this is going to be This is going to be a non-negotiated plea. The issue appears to be a nolo contendere. To which charge does he want to plead nolo?
To count to the battery.
All right. And what's the state's position on that? Mr. Young? 3 South, could you mute your screen, please? Thank you.
Your Honor, the state is opposed to a nolo plea for the battery because due to the nature of the assault against the victim, Kamaya Williams, where he brutally punched her in the face several times. However, I do understand that he does not have really any criminal history other than this case.
This is not a domestic violence matter, from what I understand.
That's correct. They did not.
Grant Park, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, could you repeat that?
This was an incident in public at Grant Park?
Yes, Your Honor, it was an incident in public. And they do not live together, nor do they share any children.
All right. I will accept a nolo plea to the battery, but it will be a guilty plea to the willful obstruction of an officer. Would your client like to still proceed?
If I could have one. My apologies, my laptop is not muted. If I could-
Okay, that's fine, you go. It's been, all
Explain that
right.
to my client.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready to proceed and he understands.
Okay, I'm wondering whether I have to make you lose your laptop again. Mr. McLean,
Oh, no, Your
Mr.
Honor,
Stinson is at 3 South. Do you need a breakout with him with the sign interpreter?
Your Honor, we just need to check to make sure that he is safe. And I think we should refer his case to mental health.
Okay, so you need to be in a breakout with him so that you can convey this information and then report that back to the court. All right?
Okay, I'll do that.
Can you reacquire Mr. Doris's laptop?
I hate to do so, but I will.
And unfortunately, I have 5 minutes left, Your Honor.
I understand, sir. We
Thank
will
you.
try to do this as, all right, Mr. Jordan, if you could place Mr. Doris's laptop 3 South and ASL interpreter in a breakout, please. All right. Going back to Mr. May's case, Mr. Doris, I'm sorry, did you say does he have an objection to the court's proposal?
No, Your Honor, he understands it. He's prepared to move forward with a guilty plea for count 1 and entering a no-loan for count 2.
All right. And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we do so stipulate. Based on my client's limited history, we would ask for him to switch to non-reporting status upon completion of the 8 weeks of anger management. In that, I believe he'll have time to complete that, so we won't ask for a waiver of probation fees.
So I've read the pleadings. I'll agree to 6 months of reporting probation, and then the latter 6 months will be non-reporting as long as he completes the 8 weeks of anger management classes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So it'll be a minimum of 6 months reporting. Does your client want to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, he understands and is ready to proceed.
All right. Mr. Mays, have you consumed any alcohol or medicine lately?
No.
Okay, I think I need to swear you in, right? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, please put your hand down. Again, you've not consumed any medicine or alcohol. Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And have you understood everything that's gone on so far?
Yes.
Have you understood the court's requirements in terms of your probation and your plea?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No.
And has it been explained that in order for me to accept this plea, I would have to have you knowingly and expressly waive your rights to a jury trial or a bench trial, to waive your right to have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's evidence in a court of law, to be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? How do you plead to one count of willful obstruction of an officer?
Guilty.
How do you plead to one count of battery?
No.
Your sentence on the battery charge is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served. I think it's 14 days. Shall we do it, serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor, I advised PD Doty about that change via
Okay, I'm
email.
sorry. No. So it's 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance probated. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, Mr. Mays, you will report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street. While on probation, you will complete 8 anger management classes at your expense. If you complete them within the first 6 months of probation, then your probation will be non-reporting. But you must report for the first 6 months after your release. You're also to stay away from the incident location, which is going to be Grant Park in Atlanta, Georgia, the entire park. You're to stay 200 yards away from that location. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're to have no contact with Kamaya Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That concludes your case.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Do I have any other cases for you, Mr. Dotis?
I believe that concludes my business until the DV bench warrant calendar.
All right, so the only cases we have left, we are waiting on Mr. McLean.
I believe so, Your Honor.
All right, now let me just go over the calendar for the SAP. All right, position number 1, Adams, was a plea. Position number 2, Brooks, was a plea. Position 3, Dewberry, was a plea. Position 4, Drummond, is a waiver of arraignment by Mr. Kilgore. Position 5, Gardner, was a plea. Position 6 was a plea. Position 7, Clicker, was a plea. 8, Mays, was a plea. 9, Minor, was a plea. 10, Osornio is presently in arraignment, but we'll find out from Mr. McLean. Position 11, 12, and 13. Well, let me see. Position 11, 12, 13, and 14 are proposed pleas. I'm not sure. We'll find out from Mr. McLean, I guess.
Your Honor, position 14 actually took his plea. That was with the interpreter.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. 11, 12, 13, correct. Position 14 was a plea with the Spanish interpreter. 15 was null pros. 16 is Mr. McLean's case, so we're waiting. He's in a breakout. 17 was Stratford, was a plea. 18, Sullivan, was a plea. 19, Sullivan, was a plea. The add-on cases, positions 1, 2, and were pleas. Position 3 was null pros. Position 4, Minor, is a plea. All right, so that leaves us with only Mr. McLean's cases, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And then Stinson, which is 16. All right. I have a competency calendar, but I also have a DV bench warrant calendar. Let's see, it's 11:02 right now. Who's the prosecutor for the DV bench warrant?
Yeah, and I'll be handling that.
Okay.
Those two.
And so these are the 4 individuals I have for the DV bench warrant. Krishan Dunn. Krishan Dunn. Edward Harris. Edward Harris. Sylvanus Jackson. Sylvanus Jackson. Kashon Alford. Kashon Alford.
And Your Honor, my apologies, my calendar for the DV bench warrant, I just have 2 positions. I'm not sure if I got an incorrect calendar.
Mine as well.
You only have 2 positions? I just printed this from Odyssey yesterday, so.
Judge, it looks like Alfred and Jackson were added after the calendar went out. I'll reset those 2 to next Thursday.
Okay. So if we could, but none of them are here. Okay. I think we're way past 5 minutes for our sign interpreter. Officer at Tanya's phone. Officer at Tanya's phone. All right, Mr. Howard, Mr. Derek Howard. You are present.
Yes, Judge.
And is Kasha joining you?
Yes, she should be on the Zoom as well.
All right, and Ms. Falk, you're handling the competency calendar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And are any of your clients going to be present for this? Okay, it looks like we have a Miss Tanya here. Officer Maldonado, or Miss Maldonado, excuse me. Tanya is here for one of the competency cases. Tanya,
Yes.
all right. So, all right, Mr. Jordan, could you place Kasha, where are you? Oh, there she is, okay. Let's go ahead and place us in the competency calendar. Mr. Howard, Tanya, Miss Falk, and Kasha, and myself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Miss.
So, so,
unmute. Mr. Young?
They're still in the breakout room.
Okay, can I get anybody to have Mr. Young call the desk phone over here?
Hey, he's not in the breakout room. I don't know if he's at. Hey,
Courtroom number 2.
Mr. Young.
He's not.
Attorney McLean would like you to call courtroom 2 if you have a second.
Okay, what's the phone number?
You got it.
You got 323 92 613 2392.
Okay, I'm calling now.
Thank you.
And it's actually 22392.
It's 612.
612. Sorry about that.
Mr. Young, it is, is he here?
He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
Mr. McLean, Judge Law wanted me to ask you if you were ready for your case.
The client.
He says 1 minute, so we should, as soon as they get a break, I guess they can come back in.
Believes that somebody told her
Okay, then.
it was
Thank you.
$1,000.
McLean. McLean.
Yes.
Do I need to take him back or do he need to be here?
Oh.
Mr. Stinson?
Hang on really, Mr. Stinson, at the earliest in a mental situation could be in what, today's court? Because I think it could be handled in mental court today. He's feeling much better. He is not suicidal. And he's offered time served as to the jail portion of his sentence with probation and SDET. So it might be a good thing to go forward. Because I think he's feeling much better and he's pretty clear. Now he'd probably have to live in a shelter.
So would that be a plea for Mr. Stinson today?
Possibly so. I would, if he goes into the competency calendar. The thing is, we don't have, the sign language interpreter had to go. And he communicates through sign language.
That's why I'm asking, do you need him here?
Yes, we would say leave him there and we can figure it out. We have to get the guidance from the court.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm going to get back on the phone with Mr. Young now for a second. Now, is this, let me look at that. Mr. Jordan,
Yes.
can you call me on the desk phone over here, 22392?
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Jordan? Michael Jordan, you there? Or if someone is on the Zoom that can put me in a breakout room with Mr. Krishan Dunn. He's on the bench warrant calendar.
All right, we are resuming with the calendar. Mr. McLean, if you're still in courtroom 2, anything to report on Mr. Stinson? You're mute, sir.
Your Honor, the ASL interpreter had to go for a prior engagement. We can release him. We just need to have him back in court as soon as we can have an interpreter, because that is necessary.
Okay, and what date are we resetting him to?
Your Honor, I guess that would be Tuesday. Today being Thursday, I guess that would have to be Tuesday.
And it'll be reset for what purpose?
It very well might be to take the plea, Your Honor. He is much better than he was the other day. He's being offered time served on the jail portion of his sentence.
I'm just going to interject 1 second. 3 South, do you have the closed captioning on the screen?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you. All right, and Mr. McLean, you were saying that reset Mr. Stinson to Tuesday, that would be May.
A possible plea, and I just want to clarify that.
Okay, possible plea. And Ms. Strong will need the sign interpreter. Are you certain you might reach a plea at that time?
I'm not positive, but it looks that way. We're certainly leaning that way.
Would June 1st be a better date?
As soon as possible would be best.
Okay, so May 30th, SAP calendar for a possible plea, and we'll need a signed interpreter.
Yeah.
And if we can take him up as soon as possible, that way we won't have to keep interpreters waiting.
Right.
Okay. You had a few more cases to address, Mr. McLean, on the SAP calendar.
I think they were 11 and 12. Number 13 is the person that I mistakenly put down that as negotiated. We can waive his presence and waive his arraignment. That's not guilty, Mr. T. Robinson.
Okay, so if you could file a waiver of arraignment to Ms. Strong, she will expect that today.
We'll do that, Your Honor.
All right, so position 11 and 12, Cavero Reeves.
Right, those are pleas.
Mr. Reeves, present?
He's on 4. I had him until I had to come in.
Understood, thank you.
Oh, and Your Honor, number 10, we concluded, we don't have a further bond request other than what we had discussed a matter that came up in the Zoom session.
Okay.
I confirmed something that my client wanted me to check on and confirm. I confirmed it. I will talk with her later and give her any details she needs, but.
All right, so Bianca Osornio, that's just a wait, we've just arraigned her. Her case is further notice for jail jury.
Correct.
Further notice for trial, and that concludes the matter. Deputy Milton, I don't know, Deputy Milton at ACDC? Deputy Milton at ACDC? All right.
Excuse me. Are we done?
Yes, Officer Stinson, Mr. Stinson will be seen on Tuesday, May 30th at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, I did have one question of clarification about position 13, Mr. Robinson. His attorney said that he could waive his presence. Did he already have prior permission to waive that defendant's presence, or is he going to get it later on?
I've already got permission.
Okay.
But he's filing the waiver of arraignment today, and then we will, that's going to be further notice jail jury.
Thank you.
So we're waiting on 4 North to bring position 11 and 12. And Deputy Milton at ACDC? Yes. Is the officer in the room with you, Ms. Osornio?
No, she's not at the moment, but I just wanted to confirm that I heard right. It was $1,000 for the bond.
That is not correct. It is not $1,000. It has been for some time and it remains today at $2,000. And I'm not going forward with the request for a bond hearing today for reasons which are sufficient to us.
So I misheard. I'm sorry. I felt like I heard 1,000 at the beginning after I said I'm not guilty.
Yeah, I had not heard 1,000. I saw 1,000 in Odyssey. I saw 1,000 in the official court paper. I mean, excuse me. I saw 2,000 in Odyssey. I saw 2,000 in the papers. And if there was any perception that somebody had changed it to 1,000 without telling us, that would be a mistaken perception. That did not occur.
Mr. Sornio, your bond is $2,000. You've entered a not guilty plea. Your case is going to be reset for trial.
May I know what day?
I don't have a date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan, could we mute ACDC, please? And we're still waiting on Mr. Reeves, position 11, and position 12, Kendall Robinson. I think those were the only cases left for Mr. McLean.
Right. And
Okay,
Your Honor, while we're waiting, I do see positions 1 and 2. I think we both, myself and McLean, have spoken to our clients on the bench warrant calendar, if we wanted to proceed with that
Yeah.
in time.
we can start with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor.
Krishan Dunn. Please unmute and start your video.
How you doing, Judge?
I'm doing good. All right.
All right.
This is, we're getting feedback, but, all right, this is case 21 CR 0000972J. State versus Krishan Dunn, D-U-N-N. Mr. Dunn is present. He has filed a motion to set aside the bench warrant in his particular case. Mr. Dunn, I'd like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you at the present time is Mr. Angelo Dotis, who is in courtroom number 2. Do you see him in the courtroom?
Waving, Mr. Dunn.
You see him, Mr. Dunn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, there was a failure to appear back in May 20th, 2021, and then there was a second failure to appear on May 10th, 2023.
All right, now, thank you. What's up, dog? You good?
Oh, all right. Are you in a busy hallway, Mr. Dunn?
Yes, ma'am. I'm actually up here. But up here at the state court.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Dunn filed a motion to set aside the bench warrant. And he indicated his current address, phone number. Does your phone number end with 9862?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then I've got a email. Okay. And is it Pine Valley in East Point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dotis, this is a defense motion. What is the reason to set it aside?
Yes, Your Honor. My client knows moving forward that he needs to report for all court dates. I spoke with my client ahead of this hearing, and my understanding is that on May 10th, he did come to court, but he went to Judge Woodson's courtroom where he waited and thought that his case would be addressed. It wasn't. He knows that he was in the wrong courtroom. He should have been before Judge Besson. As soon as he figured that out and received the notice for the FTA, he did come back up to the court and schedule this hearing and provide an updated address and telephone number. He knows going forward that he needs to be aware of his upcoming court dates as well as the correct locations. He knows to call the courthouse. I'm going to provide him with that number. He's currently working 2 separate jobs, which he plans to continue doing. As Your Honor confirmed with him, and as I confirmed myself, we have a good contact information, so I don't believe this will be an issue moving forward.
All right.
And I would note he is at the courthouse now because he wanted to be in person.
All right. Mr. Young, any response?
Yes, Your Honor. Given the circumstances and given Mr. Dunn's history in regards to FTAs, the state is opposed to setting aside the bench warrant for missing court. As we all understand, and it is the responsibility of the defendant to appear at all scheduled court dates and appearances. And in addition to his FTA on this case from 2023 and 2021, there's also an additional FTA from 2018 involving another matter. I am unsure of the disposition of that FTA at this time, but for those reasons, the state is opposed to the court setting aside the bench warrant.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Dotis?
Nothing further, Your Honor. My client understands what's required of him, and he has assured me that he will be at every court date moving forward.
I'm going to deny the request to set aside the bench warrant. Mr. Dunn will report to the Fulton County Jail by 6 p.m. today. On the battery charge is going to be a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial, and in the cruelty matter is going to be a 1,500 signature bond through pretrial. He will report to pretrial services. So as soon as he reports to pretrial, he will then report to pretrial every month until this case reaches trial. He will make sure that his address and contact information are all accurate and correct. And at the present time, I do not see no further contact. So I'm going to put a no further violent contact with Gariel Russell, G-A-R-I-E-L Russell, R-U-S-S-E-L-L. Mr. Dotis, you can, I'll do, if you want, well, I'll do this, and that way, as soon as I draft the bond order, it will be submitted to the jail. Mr. Dunn, you will have to report to the Fulton County Jail by 6 p.m. today.
I ain't did nothing, Judge.
Mr. Dunn, please, I will call you after court.
Listen very carefully, Mr. Dunn. If you keep walking, I don't know if you're paying attention. Okay, listen very carefully. You've got a prior history of failure to appear in court in a separate case. You've got a prior history of a probation violation. And given the nature of your 2 missed court dates, I do not know why you didn't pay attention to the details, but I am not going to set aside the bench warrant. Instead, I'm going to have you report to the jail, close out the bench warrant, and you'll be released on a signature bond through pretrial services within 24 hours. Do you understand? All right. You will be then a candidate for pretrial services, and you will have to continue to report to pretrial every month, and also keep up with your court dates. Make sure we have your correct address and contact information. Do you understand? All right.
Your Honor, what level is that?
That's level 1, reporting once a month. All right, Mr. Dunn, by 6 p.m. today, you can wait a couple of hours and then report to the jail. We'll get the order to the jail. Thank you. Next case.
Your Honor, just to clarify so that everything is smooth regarding Mr. Dunn's case, do you need me to submit any paperwork?
No, not for that one. I'll do no further. I'll do the order to be submitted before 2 p.m. today.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
All right.
Mr. Dunn, I'll call you as soon as I get out of court.
All right. Next case is Edward Harris. Edward Harris.
Here, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Harris, I need your video on, please. 4 North, I'll be with you very shortly. Please mute your screen.
They won't access my camera. Hold on 1 second.
Your Honor, while you're waiting on Mr. North, I have no more further matters. May I be excused?
Oh, yes. You don't have any cases involving Mr. McLean?
No, my last one was position 13 and position 16, and both of them are one is further notice and other is recent.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Reddick. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Edward Harris is still trying to fix his video, so we're going to 4 North. And 4 North, who do we have there right now? Is that Mr. Reeves or Mr. Robinson?
This is Mr. Robinson.
All right, thank you.
Your
This
Honor,
is
we-
State versus Kendall Robinson, accused of criminal
No,
trespass.
no. This is position 13.
Oh, Reeves? Okay.
Titus Robinson.
Mr. Titus Robinson, did you want to go forward with the offered plea today, or did you want to just plead not guilty? What was your choice?
Go forward with the plea.
Okay, let's do that, Your Honor. 13 can be a plea today too.
Okay, I guess we are, that was Miss Reddick's case.
I have his contact information, so it's ready to go.
Mr. Young, are you able to handle the plea for position type 13? We thought it was going to be a waiver of arraignment.
Right.
I have the plea information, so I could take the plea.
Okay.
And we have the paperwork done and ready to go, Your Honor, so that'll be efficient.
All right. So this is State versus Titus Glynn Robinson, accused of battery and willful obstruction of an officer from 23 CR 002-905A. Mr. Robinson, these are charges allegedly from May 11, 2023 in Fulton County, Georgia. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Michael McLean. Is this going to be a negotiated plea, Mr. McLean?
It is, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Robinson, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what's the plea recommendation for Mr. Robinson?
Your Honor, the plea recommendation for position 13, Mr. Robinson, is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, with the balance probated, 6-week anger management, no further contact with the victim, Pete Powell, and to stay away from the incident location.
All right.
And the clarification of the incident location would be the Campbellton Road address, or?
I am also looking that up right now. Sorry, we have to switch screens since.
The incident location being 4511
Campbellton Road.
Southwest.
Very good, thank you. That's what we understood.
All right, Mr. McLean, does your client accept the terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, and we do. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Robinson, if please unmute the screen. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with the services of the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea in order to get out of jail quick?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware that if I accept your plea, you would have had to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial, to confront your accuser, to challenge witnesses and evidence as brought against you, to be able to present any defenses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up all these rights?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How do you plead to 1 count of battery and 1 count of willful obstruction of an officer?
Guilty, ma'am.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other holds at the jail, you'll be released within 24 hours. You must report to the probation office next Thursday before 3 p.m. and that is located at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. Once you report to probation, you'll be on probation to complete 6 anger management classes, and that must be done at your expense. At all times, you're to have no contact with Pete Powell, and you're to stay away from 4511 Campbellton Road in Southwest Atlanta. Thank you.
Your Honor, it would be really beneficial to him if the court could allow him to go to non-reporting upon completion of the 6-hour class, I encouraged him in particular to check out the 6-hour class available online so you could get it done in the first couple of weeks and perhaps only have to pay one $49 supervision fee. That would be super.
Mr. I think he has an open felony case, doesn't he?
No, ma'am.
From June 13, 2020?
No, ma'am.
I've got a Sumter County hold as well. Is this for Titans?
Sumter County is, I believe, Americus, Georgia, his hometown. I think he was confident in telling me something that he was aware of it, and it wasn't going to be a big hangup.
20 CP 192429.
Your Honor, I believe that case was dismissed.
Yes, Your Honor, it's showing dismissed.
Okay, all right.
In Odyssey.
He'll have to report to probation for the first 6 months, and then after which it will be non-reporting, as long as the anger management classes are concluded as well. And I want, and I don't know what the hold is in Sumter County, but he needs to resolve that because that's still showing up on his booking sheet. So he may not be released if he's got that Sumter County hold.
I'll talk with him further about how to perhaps, if he's hung up in jail for a couple of weeks, maybe he could get an anger management class in a jail. That might or might not be possible, but once released, it's possible to take the 6 hours rather quickly. In some places, if he shops hard enough, he might find it for a very reduced price.
Mr. McLean, I appreciate that, but right now it's just rhetorical. All I know is that he cannot get out of jail until he resolves the Sumter County hold.
That's
It's not a
correct.
no bond situation.
That is correct.
All right. And as I said, he must report to probation for 6 months upon release. And then as long as he finishes the anger management classes, then the remaining time of probation will be non-reporting. But it's a minimum 6-month report.
Understood.
All right, thank you. For North, who do we have next, please? Do we have Cavero Reeves or Kendall Robinson?
This is position 12.
Okay, this
Robinson.
is the other Robinson, okay.
Yes.
State, I'm sorry, sir?
Position 11, Mr. Reeves.
Yeah,
He refused to come. He said he talked to his attorney and they said he didn't have to come. And when I went to pick him up, he said he wasn't coming.
That solves the mystery, Your Honor, of the correct number. So we'll do a waiver of presence. That's the fellow who said, don't do it. I apologize for the mistake between switching the two people.
okay, so position number 11 is a waiver of presence and you're filing a waiver of arraignment, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so please file the waiver arraignment for position 11, Cavero Reeves.
Yes.
All right, that leaves us with Kendall Robinson, 23 CR 003-167C. Mr. Robinson's been accused of criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer from May 10th, 2023, allegedly at Marta in Fulton County. Mr. Robinson, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. McLean. This is going to be a negotiated plea for position 12. So, Mr. Robinson, may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Thank you. Mr. Young, do you have a plea recommendation for Mr. Kendall Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor, the plea recommendation in count 1 and 2 is 12 months served 30 days, credit for time served 16 days, with the balance is suspended and to stay away from all Marta.
Right. Do you know if he's got any suspension or a lifetime suspension?
That I am unsure of.
Okay. Mr. McLean, does your client accept the terms and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
We do so stipulate, and he does understand the terms. Now, the portion of MARTA, he would need to stay away from. Of course, he has to comply with any MARTA suspension. But in this plea, the portion of MARTA he would have to stay away from would be the station. What?
I had stay away from MARTA. So was there a restriction, Mr. Young?
I'm not understanding. Could you repeat that, Yana?
When you say stay away from MARTA, are you asking him to stay away from a particular station or stay away from all MARTA facilities in accordance with any suspension?
To stay away from all in accordance with any suspension. In this particular incident, he was trespassed previously, previous day, I believe, or he refused to leave. So definitely stay away from the 216 Peachtree Street in Atlanta, but also in accordance, stay away from all MARTA if there's any suspensions currently in place.
Now, he's definitely clear that he has to comply with any suspensions, but 216, is that the Garnett or is that the?
Mr. McLean, I would rather just do it, stay away from all MARTA in accordance with any suspension, because if he doesn't have a suspension, then he can go back and use MARTA legally.
Right, that works for us. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Robinson, do you have you consumed any medication or alcohol? Let's repeat your answer. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol? Okay, I can't hear you, so you need to speak up.
No, ma'am.
Okay. And have you understood everything that's been going on with your case?
Yeah, but I don't want to I want to go against it. I don't like that.
You don't like what?
I ain't jumped the gate or none of that. Like they like. Did you see the video? Like I ain't jumped the gate or none of that. Them folk try. They
Sounds
try.
like either a discussion with defense counsel. Or
So,
not guilty.
so if you don't want to plead guilty, then we can have a trial and we can show the video and you can challenge this case in a court of law. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, that's a not guilty.
Okay.
I can discuss that further with you before you finalize that decision.
And I told you no yesterday. I told you that yesterday.
Okay, no problem, no problem, no problem. Mr. Robinson, you have been charged with criminal trespass at a MARTA station and obstruction of an officer. You are legally presumed innocent of these charges. And when the case goes to trial, upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will then be challenged in a court of law. The prosecutor, not you, not your attorney, but the prosecutor will have the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. That's when you'll have the chance to show whatever videos you want or challenge the evidence they try to bring against you. And your attorney will also help you challenge all the witnesses who are going to testify, if there are any. Do you understand?
Yeah, ma'am.
All right. So upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for such a trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution has the burden to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. If they succeed, then you could be convicted. And I need to let you know that if you are convicted, then you could face a penalty of up to $1,000 fine and up to a year in jail for each convicted offense. All right? So given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
All right? Your case has been arraigned and there's going to be further notice for trial. Thank you.
I can see your pen. Could I get judge no the lawyer number?
I got sure. Mr. McLean, could you please give Mr. Robinson a number to which he can reach you?
The lawyer's number will be whoever's assigned to courtrooms, to the courtroom with cases ending in the C letter, the letter C. So that's going to be Judge Dixon. So
That's right.
I'll refer him to Judge Dixon's trial lawyer for cases that end in 7C.
Okay.
I won't be a lawyer, Mr.
Do we have the number for the public defender's office then?
7, yes, Your Honor. 404-612-5200.
All right, 404-612-5200.
Correct.
And ask for the defense lawyer in Judge Dixon's courtroom.
Right.
You got that, Mr. Robinson?
And actually, Mike, that's the felony number. Give him 541, he's 612-5419.
Okay, 5419 would be a 612. Okay.
All right.
Just have him ask for Zach Findlin.
Oh, is he there? Yes, wondering where he disappeared to.
Yeah, yes.
Zach who?
Zach who?
Findlin.
Zach? Go ahead. Mr.
Findlin.
All right. You got it, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, good luck. Thank you. All right, folks, that concludes our calendar. Ms. Strong, did you want me to go over it again? Are we good?
Mr. Harris is there.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Edward Harris.
Mr. Harris, all right, there you go. His video is on now. Thank you. Let me get back to his case. This is back to our DV bench warrant calendar. Mr. Edward Harris is appearing via Zoom. His case number is 22CR003-298C. Mr. Harris, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So we have in this particular matter an accusation that was filed back on May 25th, 2022. I'm not certain whether he was booked in again on June 1st, 2022 under booking number 2207559. Case was reset for plea and arraignment, and then reset to March 19th, 2023, where he failed to appear at the November 2nd court. It was then reset to April 20th for status. And then it was reset to May 16, 2023 for jury trial before Judge Dixon, where he failed to appear. And a bench warrant was issued on May 17th, 2023. And Mr. Harris filed a motion to set aside the bench warrant. Mr. Harris, is your address now at Myrtle Drive?
Correct.
And your phone number ends in 0798?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I was discussing with Mr. Harris his mail problems. He has had some mail problems in the past. I don't think, although I'm not positive, Mr. Harris's best recollection is that he hasn't had a problem with missing court before. So hopefully this will be in a different posture than some other folks today. Your Honor, we would ask the court to admonish him. I talked with him about the methodologies that I find extremely efficient and foolproof in never missing a court date, which includes going down to the clerk's office and checking on the public computer sitting on the counter for that very purpose every 3 weeks. If you do that, you don't have to worry about mail. You don't have to worry about the Fulton Daily Report. You don't have to worry about anything. You're just checking it yourself. You're not worried about whether you called in and somebody gave you a wrong answer on the phone. It's a foolproof method. And Your Honor, he can get a post office box if he's got mail problems, but he's going to not miss a court date.
All right. Mr. Young?
Yes, Your Honor, the state is opposed to the court setting aside the bench warrant. It seems like Mr. Harris has missed court twice in this case. And as we all know, it is the responsibility of the defendant to appear at all court dates and make whatever necessary changes to ensure that they are receiving the proper notice. I feel like this is a situation that could have been rectified after the first FTA. So for those reasons, the state is opposed to the court setting aside. Not to mention, there's also an.
Go ahead.
That's nothing further from the state.
Just 1 minute. Ms. Tyson, is there any history of probation violation or FTAs other than this one?
No history of arrest for FTAs. Let me check one more. Let me confirm for the violations of probation. I don't see any history of violations of probation, at least within the last 10 years.
All right. I will set aside the bench warrant and reinstate the prior bond. I have a $4,000 good bond that he apparently made back in June 1st, 2022. His next court date will be issued by Judge Dixon's office. Mr. Harris, saying that it's got lost in the mail really is not a legal excuse, and nobody accepts that, really. It's your responsibility for making sure that wherever you live, that the mail gets to you, or you need to find an alternative way of receiving notices from the court. Mr. McLean, your defense attorney, has apparently suggested one way of visiting the court's public computers to check on your court date. The other way is to keep up with, Mr. McLean, does he qualify for public defense office? Would you all be continuing to represent him?
We haven't talked about that topic.
All right. Mr. Harris, the other way is to hire a private attorney to help you keep up with your court dates, or interview with the public defender's office, perhaps sometime this week, to see if you qualify for their services. All right. But one more failure to appear, and then you can spend the rest of the time at the Fulton County Jail until your trial date. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McLean, would you like to submit the proposed order setting aside the bench warrant?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Mr. Young, shall I let you run away?
I'm sorry.
That's all I have, Your Honor. I
All
don't see
right,
anything
thank
else.
you. Mr. Dotis, sounds good. Mr. Dotis, Mr. McLean, y'all have a great, it's already afternoon.
Me too. Thank you.
Likewise, Your Honor. Enjoy your
All
week.
right, thank you. Ms. Strong, and do you have any questions about the calendar?
No, ma'am, I'll send my paperwork over to you shortly.
All right, thank you. All right, that concludes the calendar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Oh dear. Yes.
May I address the court? My daughter's supposed to attend at court on the 25th, which is the
Ma'am,
day.
I can't talk to you because I don't know who I'm talking to. It's a blank screen.
I've tried to say y'all enabled the stream. Okay.
No.
Okay, here I am.
Okay,
Yes,
what's your
ma'am.
daughter's name?
Her name is Zarkia Johnson.
Spell the first name.
Zarkeeya.
Zarkeeya, and last name is Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you by chance have a case number?
Yes, ma'am. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna grab it out of my purse.
Are you at the courthouse right now?
No, I'm not in a courthouse. Her case number is 23CR 001 19988.
That's too many numbers.
Okay,
Your Honor.
it's 23CR 001 19988.
Too many numbers.
Your Honor, the case number I have, it's a battery family violence. It's 23CR001998. It appears that the case was. I think that's the case.
She's on the competency calendar for,
She's on the competency calendar for 6/1.
I don't know why I can't find the case. 23CR00.
1998.
it's A as in alpha at the end, Judge Law.
Oh, A, alpha. Okay. All right, ma'am, this matter is going to be handled by the Public Defender's Office, and the next time we're going to address this is next Thursday at 11 a.m. via Zoom. Is she still with us? She dropped out? Tracy? Yeah, it looks like she dropped out. Okay. Mr. Derek Howard, are you still with us? Well, everyone's left. Okay. Casey, she might come down to the clerk's office. We just need to get to the reset date. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That concludes court. Thank you.
Thank you.